studio microphone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Red Pulse Football, your trusted home for global transfer rumors, breaking football news, and behind-the-scenes insights from across Europe and beyond. Today's episode is packed with top transfer stories and developing rumors. From Manchester United's latest midfield shortlist featuring Victor Froholdt, to Barcelona's interest in Hoffenheim's rising striker Fisnik Asllani, to big names like Son Heung-min, Serge Gnabry, and Serge Milinkovic-Savic. The market is buzzing again. So grab your headphones, sit back, and let's break down the latest transfer stories shaping world football. Let's begin at Old Trafford. Because, as always, the Manchester United rumor mill never stops turning. Reports from Team Talk reveal that United have added Victor Froholdt, the 19-year-old Danish midfielder from FC Porto, to their growing list of midfield targets. Froholdt has been one of Portugal's brightest young prospects this season. Strong on the ball, composed under pressure, and excellent at reading play from deep. United have been scouting midfield options for months as Ruben Amorim continues his quiet rebuild of the squad, and Froholdt's name now joins a long list that already includes Borussia Dortmund's Joe Bellingham, Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton, and Brighton's Carlos Baleba. But here's the catch. While Wharton and Baleba are highly rated, their transfer fees could reach upwards of £80 million each. That's why Froholdt, at just 19 and available for significantly less, has suddenly become an attractive option. According to The Sun, however, Carlos Baleba remains Amorim's preferred choice, and there's an interesting twist to this story. Manchester United winger Bryan Mbeumo, who's been away on international duty with Cameroon, is reportedly acting as a big brother to Baleba, trying to convince him to join United. So it's not just scouting departments doing the talking. It's players themselves influencing transfer decisions behind the scenes. If Baleba does end up at Old Trafford, Mbeumo might have played a quiet but crucial role in that move. Still, Froholdt is one to watch. Scouts have praised his maturity and positioning, and with Porto willing to negotiate, United may view him as a smart long-term investment, especially if Casemiro's contract extension talks stall due to salary demands, another story that's gaining momentum this week. Yes, you heard that right. Sources indicate that Manchester United may actually look to extend Casemiro's contract, but only if he agrees to a reduced salary. The Brazilian's current deal is among the highest at the club, and Amorim's board is trying to bring the wage bill down while maintaining experience in midfield. So, as of now, United's midfield picture is very dynamic, a mix of youth and experience, ambition and practicality. Froholdt might not be the biggest name on paper, but he fits the new United model: technical, disciplined, and affordable. Now, shifting our focus from Manchester to Catalonia, Barcelona are back in the headlines. Reports from journalist Florian Plettenberg suggest that Barca are closely monitoring Hoffenheim striker Fisnik Asllani. At 23 years old, Asllani has quietly developed into one of the Bundesliga's most efficient forwards. Quick, versatile, and excellent in link-up play, he has a release clause in his contract that becomes active next summer. What makes this rumor even more intriguing is Asllani's own words. In an interview with SportBild, he said that moving to a top European club is part of his dream, and specifically named Barcelona as his dream club. With Barcelona still working under tight financial controls, a moderately priced striker like Asllani could be a clever move. The Catalans need someone to rotate with Robert Lewandowski, who's now in his mid-30s, and Asllani's energy and pressing style fit perfectly with the high-tempo game that Xavi, or whoever follows him, wants to play. This is definitely one to keep an eye on, especially if other clubs like Borussia Dortmund or AC Milan decide to activate that clause. Meanwhile, in England, another interesting story is emerging. Elliot Anderson, currently impressing at Nottingham Forest, could be on his way back to Newcastle United. The Daily Mail reports that Anderson, who left Newcastle for £35 million in the summer of 2024, has been so impressive under Thomas Tuchel. Yes, Tuchel, now in charge of England, that he's become a regular in the national team setup. Anderson's form has attracted interest from Manchester City and Chelsea, but Newcastle are determined to bring him home. For them, Anderson represents not just a quality midfielder, but also a local success story, a homegrown player coming full circle. This potential move aligns with Newcastle's push to strengthen their British core. A midfield duo of Anderson and Guimaraes could give Eddie Howe both technical depth and Premier League grit. Now, let's cross the Atlantic for a moment, because even MLS is making European headlines this week. According to The Sun, Son Heung-min's contract with LAFC includes a clause similar to David Beckham's old deal with LA Galaxy, meaning Son could return to Europe during the MLS offseason if he chooses. At 33 years old, Son has been absolutely brilliant since moving from Tottenham to Los Angeles, 8 goals and 3 assists in just 9 appearances. But the 2026 World Cup might dictate his next move. If South Korea qualifies strongly and Son feels he needs elite-level football to prepare, we could very well see him back in Europe, maybe even in the Premier League. Imagine that return story. Son back in England, even if just for one more season. It would sell shirts, fill stadiums, and delight fans everywhere. Next, we move to Italy, where Juventus continue their midfield hunt. Calcio Mercato reports that the Bianconeri have identified Gustavo Sa from Famalicão as a new target. At 20 years old, Sa has become one of Portugal's most promising box-to-box midfielders. His current contract runs until 2029, with a valuation of around €15 million, affordable by Juventus standards. However, they face competition from Manchester City, who have reportedly been monitoring the player for months. Other names linked with Juventus include Newcastle's Sandro Tonali, Al Hilal's Serge Milinkovic-Savic, and Al Ahly's Franck Kessie. For Juventus, the midfield rebuild has become a top priority after several inconsistent seasons. Sa's signing will be both a long-term investment and a statement that the club is moving back toward developing young, technical players rather than relying on veterans. Meanwhile, in Germany, Florian Plemberg also reports that Bayern Munich could extend Serge Gnabry's contract, but only if the 30-year-old accepts a wage reduction. Gnabry has struggled with injuries and form this season, but Bayern still value his experience. The decision now rests on whether he's willing to adapt financially for a new deal.